Hobby Center online. My name is Hank, and my passion is airbrushing. One of the biggest questions that we get here all the time is when you're airbrushing, what's the thinning ratios? And how do I thin this paint to get through an airbrush? And how much thinner should I use? And what kind of thinner should I use? The short answer is that there is no short answer. It's actually quite complicated, but I'll see if I can break this down for you. If you wish to be safe, let's say you've decided that you wish to use enamel paints or acrylic paints or acrylic lacquers. 3 different types of paints, 3 different types of thinners, multiple different types of companies. If you wish to play it safe, always use the paint company's thinner with the paint that you're using. For instance, Revel Color has their own paint thinner. Tamiya has 2 different types of paints and 2 different types of thinners. One for acrylic, one for acrylic lacquers. Don't get them confused. One is actually soluble in water, the other one is not. Other companies such as AK Interactive, they have the cute little bottles. They have their own sets of thinners. Vallejo has their own thinner and what they call a flow improver, and basically that wets the paint and makes it go through the airbrush without drying quite as much inside the nozzle. If you're using an acrylic paint, I use Future to thin it down, and I find that it gives it a little bit of gloss, and it also will give it a little bit more flow through the airbrush. If you're a diehard like me and you remember these tiny little square bottles, this is an enamel paint. There's lots of enamel paints out there. To be honest, the best thinner that I've ever found is lacquer thinner. You do have to be careful. For any of these paints, for no matter what you're shooting, please get yourself a good mask. A good mask with the types of filters that are rechargeable and replaceable. Now, as for the ratios, son of a gun, we'll have to cut that out. Yep. And always wear your mask. Now, as for the ratios between thinner to paint, this is where it gets difficult. Different paints, different ratios. Sometimes it's half thinner, half paint. Sometimes it's 1/3 thinner to 2/3 paint. The only variable that you're going to be able to gauge on your own will be the fact that the paint should be, when it's in your airbrush cup, ready to shoot, it should be of milky consistency. Or the consistency of Pledge Future. Okay, we'll cut that out. The consistency should be the same as Pledge Future Floor Wax. As you can see, it moves along freely, and this is actually the gauge to what I use. Okay, I think that's going to be about that for that. Okay, we'll cut for that. How shall I end?
I have an idea. We take this.
Cleaning.
Oh, cleaning, yeah.
Cleaning, yes, okay. So, now you've sprayed your model and you have a dirty airbrush and you're wondering how you're going to clean that. If you're curious, yes, you should clean as much as possible. I clean my airbrush after every time that I use it. It doesn't take long, and it will make your airbrush available for the next time, so you won't have any problems. When it comes to the enamel paints and the paints that are oil-based and very tricky, I will clean out my airbrush with lacquer thinner, because in the rock, paper, scissors worlds of cleaners, this is a stick of dynamite. It will clean almost everything, including acrylics and acrylic lacquers. If you're using AK, or if you're using Tamiya, the acrylics, or if you're using the Vallejo Airs, especially the Vallejo Airs, you can actually get away with using Windex. Now, I normally don't like to actually throw together a brand, okay, when it comes to displays, but Windex has enough cleaners and ammonia in there that it will eat through almost any kind of acrylics, and this will clean out your airbrush quite well. And then, of course, after using this, I tend to use warm soapy water in my airbrush just to get rid of all of the contaminants and the rest of the volatiles. Okay, what else can I talk about after that? Ideas?
If you have more questions, make sure you tune into our live stream, which will be coming up in the next month.
If you have any further questions on thinning, on any of the products that we have here or might have in the store, by all means tune in for our special 1 hour live telecast where we will be showing you how to airbrush on a very basic level, showing you a few tips, a few tricks, cleaning, spraying, everything that you could use to get started. Thank you.